Hello, everybody, and welcome back. This is episode 4 of the Vanarama YouTube's Football Manager 2017 Big Six in the non-league experiment. And there you go. How close is that? Three points in it between first and fourth. It's going to be too tough to call, to be honest with you. Barrow still looking likely to be the team that make it into the playoffs with the Big Four. Well, with 3 of the Big Four. Who's going to win that league? I wouldn't want to call that one, to be honest with you. I mean, well, I don't know really. Liverpool and Tottenham with a game in hand as well, just behind. It's gonna be a tough one. So as you can see, they haven't lost against any of the small teams. I'd say Chelsea drew with Boreham Wood. Man City have only drawn against the big ones. So Liverpool and Tottenham drew with Barrow. So Barrow managing to steal a point against one of the big ones. And Barrow obviously losing their games against those ones above. One thing I want to point out to you guys is if you look over here, Vanarama National League has gone up one place. So last year it was 90th. This year is 89th. How much further is that going to rise with the presence of these teams? Obviously after this one they got another season. That 89 could end up being up to 86. And will that impact the teams in the National League afterwards? Will there be a difference in the National League? And with these teams running through League 2, 1 in the Championship, will that have the same effect on them? Time will tell. Time will certainly tell. One thing we haven't done yet is have a look at the player stats. Obviously, Harry Kane was the top scorer. Will he be the top scorer again? But at Man City, of course. He signed for Man City. Top goal scorer is Iniacho. Well, Man City signed last season's top goal scorer and then sold a striker who is now this season's top goal scorer for somebody else. Irony, eh? Least conceded Hugo Lloris. Hugo Lloris is the best keeper left in it at the moment, to be honest with you. So that's absolutely no surprise at all. Most distance covered, N'Golo Kante, yep. Vincent Kompany, most tackles, yep. Most key passes, Christian Eriksen, yep. Most assists, Christian Eriksen, yeah, well, can't really argue with that. Liverpool sold all their main big midfielders, and, well, Christian Eriksen just set up a lot of goals for Tottenham. Tottenham, well, looking at these two, they got the biggest goal difference at the moment. So you're thinking Man City, Chelsea could be the ones who do finish in the top 2, but which one finishes top? I tell you what, I'm going to go with it, and I'm going to say City. I think possibly City. But anyway, let's see how United and Arsenal are doing in League 2. Okay, so as expected, Arsenal, Man United still at top. Man United have only lost to Arsenal. They still got to play each other again, though. But that draw, that Man United draw, could be the difference between them finishing first and second, as it happens. Arsenal 5 points clear. Man United and Arsenal will finish in the top 2. So the rest of it doesn't matter. Newport County are falling down the table. No. Let's hope they don't go down. And Sky Bet League 2 has also risen a place from 72nd to 71st in the best leagues in the world. So League 2, the presence of Arsenal Man United has risen the reputation. What kind of impact will that have on the teams left in it? Well, like I said, with the National League, obviously League 1 is going to have these kind of teams in it next year. Will it do the same for them? And then the Championship. The Premier League obviously is probably going to still be the best league in the world anyway. So hopefully that doesn't dwindle off because of the lack of big teams in there. Anyway, let's see what is happening in the Premier League now. Well, actually, no, let's just wait and see who are the leading players. Juan Mata with assists, Alexis Sanchez with the goals, David De Gea with the most clean sheets. Absolutely no surprise at all with that one. Let's go check out the Premier League. So Leicester still leading the way, but their gap has been closed from 5 points to 3. Crystal Palace, their closest rivals, but Everton and Southampton still in with a shake. Derby County in with a shake. Stoke and West Ham outsiders. And who could be going down? Well, Leeds were doing poor, but they've clawed it back. They were doing really bad. They'd only on 9 points at first, but they clawed it back. So it's an interesting relegation battle there in the Premier League. So there we go. Leicester still on course for 3 in a row with the Premier League. Wow. Actually, the Premier League is third. Hasn't dropped off any. It stayed the same. I hope it will stay the same. I hope it will stay the same. When obviously Arsenal and United look like they're going to be the first two back. Let's hope it does stay the same by the time they get back in it. Because with them two back in it, that's going to keep the Premier League in the top three, I think. But let's check out the Champions League. So there you have it. No English teams have qualified for the first knockout round of the Champions Cup. But you look at some of these teams that have. Basel have qualified for the second round. Shakhtar Donetsk have qualified for the second round. So with no English teams qualifying for the next round, are we going to see more teams like Basel and Borussia Mönchengladbach and Shakhtar qualifying for the next stage as Ajax have managed to get themselves through? You don't see them in the Champions League knockout stages as often as they used to be. A bit of a shame, really, but there you go. I mean, Leverkusen back in Champions League knockout rounds. So the lack of strong English contenders are giving teams from other countries the opportunity to get in. So what's going on in the Europa League? So interestingly, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6 English teams in the first knockout round of the Europa League. But is it an English team going to win the Europa League? If you look at the company that they're keeping there, you're probably going to think no. Real Madrid, Dortmund, who else we got here? Lazio, AC Milan, who else? Napoli. So the chances of one of the English teams winning that, very slim. Or Lyon as well are in it. Yeah, it's a really, really strong Europa League, and for an English team to win that, it's going to be a bit of a tall order. So, one final thing to take you through before we skip forward to the end of the season. We haven't had a look at what the January transfer window brought us, so let's have a little look and see how this is going to impact our predictions for the rest of the season. Okay, so some of these would have been from. Let's have a look. See if we can do just the January transfer window. No, it doesn't seem as though we can, but if we look back, obviously some of these we remember, but De Bruyne and Hazard we don't remember. Oh, there's the dates there. There's the dates. So all these happened in July. So these are the January transfers. Any big ones? Outgoings. Liverpool, Andre Wisdom. No, not really big. Kieran Gibbs has gone from Arsenal to Liverpool. So Liverpool are making some signings finally. James Milner gone to West Ham. Man City have let Fabian Delph go to Middlesbrough for pennies. So through January, not a lot of activity really. Tottenham let someone go to Cardiff for pennies. So yeah, not a massive. Mangala has gone to Hull, 4.5 million. So that's one thing. Maybe the fact that these players are in this league, maybe their transfer fees or their values are coming right down. Maybe so. But anyway, let's go and see what United and Arsenal have done in January. Okay, so we've got this. Then a lot of deadline day activity here, but not much including Arsenal. Now we know Kieran Gibbs went to Liverpool, but not a lot has gone on. But let's scroll down, and as we go down, we're going to see anything from Arsenal or United. Nothing, or Liverpool obviously taking Kieran Gibbs there. Man United sold Varela, and not really a lot else. Oh, Joel Campbell went to Liverpool. That's when we missed. That happened in October. How did that happen? Phil Jones went to Chelsea in December. Maybe that was when it was agreed and the transfer couldn't be complete until the transfer deadline. Maybe the deadlines are different down in the bottom end. Anyway, that's the transfer activity. Now it's time to get through to the rest of the season. Okay then everyone, so we're here at the end of the season and Chelsea were the ones to take it in the end. Chelsea ended up taking top spot. Tottenham missed out on goal difference from top. Man City were 2 points behind. Liverpool were 3 points behind. So 4 losses for Liverpool. That's saying 5 losses there. Am I counting 5? Yeah. Playoff, obviously. So Liverpool lost in the semi-final of the playoffs. Obviously, Barrow were the team who made it into the playoffs in the end. So what happened in the playoff semi-final then? Liverpool went out to Man City and Barrow. They gave Tottenham a run for their money there. Tottenham only beating Barrow 4-1 over 2 legs. Man City beating Liverpool 4-0 over 2 legs. Now, let's go and have a look at the other leagues. Let's go look at the inevitable for League 2. Yep, and then we have it. Arsenal, Man United are going to be in League 1 next year. League 2 will be having Chelsea and Tottenham next year. So, what ended up happening in the Premier League chase? The Premier League was won by Southampton. Well, they ended up winning it by 4 points as well. Newcastle, Leicester, Crystal Palace. Well, looking at this, the top 3 places are green, and that's usually the Champions League places. So, have England already lost a Champions League spot? That's one thing we're going to have a look at next season. But Champions League, obviously all the English teams went out, but there were 6 English teams in the Europa League. So let's have a little look how they got on in there. Yeah, so pretty much as expected, Real Madrid were the team that went on to win the Europa League. But where did the English teams fall out? West Ham got all the way to the semi-final. Good run for them, that. Quarter-final. Leicester out at the quarter-final, and so were Southampton. So 3 teams in the quarter-final. You would have thought you might have maybe seen an English team go on to win that, but to go out to Real Madrid and Dortmund, it's not to be shamed at, really, is it? Did all 6 make it through to the next round? Stoke made it through, but got knocked out by West Ham. Leicester were there. And Southampton were there. So some of them went out in the first round. That was Norwich to Galatasaray. Yeah, that's understandable. Newcastle went out to AC Milan, which is also understandable. So that's it. It's the end of that season. Let's go back, because we haven't looked at how the players got on. Who finished top scorers in that? Well, quite unsurprisingly, Harry Kane was the top scorer in the National League. So that's 2 years on the trot, and he's going to get a 3rd year to do it again. Christian Eriksen, most assists. He'll be moving up into League 2. Hugo Lloris will also be leaving for League 2, and Courtois. 2 goalkeepers are going up. So I wonder what's going to happen to Man City and Liverpool next season, because their reputations are going to be deteriorating right now. They've sold a bunch of players, and they're gonna be longer without Premier League money. So are they going to sustain themselves financially? Are they going to fall out? On the basically, are they going to go into debt because of the players they got and the wages they got to pay? Well, I know Liverpool have sold a lot of their players now, which is probably the smart thing to do, because I think if you bide your time, you can get yourself promoted. Because once you do come out of the National League, you are going to be going up, like I say, in twos. But when you do come out of the National League, every season you should be going up a division. So it's going to gradually get there. So selling all your big players who earn all the big bucks, make a load of money, get a team good enough to get you promoted every year, and then you've got a nice chunk of money to go into the Premier League with. So you can go out and bring yourself in a big team of players. I don't know, maybe that might be a complete and utter bunch of bullshit, but it's a theory. There's a theory of getting yourself back into the Premier League and sustaining yourself financially. Let's have a quick look at the players who did well in League 2. So there you go, as they were before Sanchez carried on scoring to become the top goal scorer, while Mata kept setting goals up to stay as the most assists, and then obviously De Gea leading the way completely on the goalkeeper accolades. So there we go, that's another season done, that's episode 4 done. So again guys, thanks very much for watching, and the next episode will start from the 2nd of July for season 3. Okay, as I say, thanks again for watching, and cheerio for now.